Huh.
Hello, Eswarya Mahapatra. How are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
I'm also fine. So, first of all, heartiest congratulations that you are selected in DSO.
Thanks
So,
a lot.
give brief introduction about yourself.
Okay, so hey everyone, I'm Aishwarya Mahapatra and I'm a final year student at LNMIT Jaipur. I recently did a summer internship at Goldman Sachs and I'm also an incoming software engineer at DShaw. So that's all about me. Yeah.
So, that's nice introduction. So, I'm talking about DSO. So, is it on campus or off campus?
DShaw was an on campus process. Yeah.
So, how many rounds were there? Give details of all the round. How you approach all the round. Give details of every round.
So there were basically three rounds, right? But the first one was the online assessment, and the other two were the technical interview rounds. So in the first round, there were three sections. The first section was like more or less on aptitude. The second was CS fundamentals, and the third had two coding questions, right? So yeah, and mostly who were able to solve, both the questions, not necessarily both the questions, but at least one and a half questions, and did well in the aptitude section and the CS fundamental sections were called for the interview. So around 20 students were called for the interviews. And in the first interview, there were two interviewers. So they asked me questions on, first they asked me how my earlier round went. That was the online assessment, how it went. Then he asked me questions on CS fundamentals and some data structure and algorithms basics and fundamental concepts. And both of them gave me two coding questions. Later on, they gave me a situation where I was supposed to use a data structure and implement that particular situation. So this is how the first round went. In the second round, they called eight students, right? So in the second round, I personally had a single interviewer, but a few had two interviews as well. So in that also, he first initially had like a bit of informal conversation about my goals and everything. You can say behavioral questions, and also asked me about my internship experience and the project that I worked upon. And then he gave me a coding question, and then also they really focused a lot upon the CS fundamentals. He gave me situations on how which CS fundamental concept would you use in this particular situation. And yeah, and then I think at the end he gave me another question wherein he asked me to check the cases or test the algorithm. So how would I test the algorithm and all that stuff. So this is how the second round went, and after that the results were out at around 10:30 at night. Yeah.
That's nice. So,
Yeah.
if I'm talking about coding rounds, so like interview rounds, so which data structure is more important according to you?
Every data structure is very important, right? You can't skip anything. Yeah, it's obvious that when you are applying for the higher positions, that is not an internship but rather a full-time position, then you should be well prepared with concepts of DP as well as graph. Because if it's if any interview wants to raise the level of the interview, they definitely are going to ask you questions on DP or graph, because these are really complex and good algorithms and data structures. So you should be good with these concepts definitely, but then it's not necessary that you're going to face these questions only, right? You can face anything, but yeah, I would suggest don't ever leave DP or graph while you're
Uh,
preparing. Yeah, that's very important.
okay, nice. So now, what are the resources you used preparation for placements? Like it is free or is it free or paid?
No, I didn't use any paid resources, like not any course or anything. The platforms that are public to everyone, the resources that are public to everyone, I use that. I mostly used to code and lead code. So most of my practice was from lead code. And sometimes I also did questions from GFG, according to maybe some archives of the companies, or maybe some specific companies list. So yeah, GFG is also a good resource. But for a regular practice, or to or so to say, to make my basics strong, I used Lead Code more. Yeah. And also for particularly the interview preparation, like before the interviews, to brush up all the concepts, I did this SD sheet by Striver, like the take you forward guy. So he has this SD sheet of, like, I guess 180 questions.
180
So
days.
I was very thorough with those 180 questions. So yeah, that really helped me a lot.
Okay. Nice. So like for CS fundamentals, what type of resources you used?
CS fundamentals, I went with the videos like YouTube channels. Like for OS, I went with Gate Smashers, and for DBMS, I went with Knowledge Gate. So there are these playlists of maybe 80 to 90 videos. So I watched it all and then made some notes. And then for some like revision, or rather the concepts that were not being taught on these channels, I referred to the articles of GFG. And yeah, so once this was done, before the interview, I what I did before, just before the interviews, I went through the last minute notes on GFG of the CS fundamentals. So yeah, this is how I prepared the CS fundamentals part.
That's great. So now coming to next question, is resume, CGPA, 10th and 12th grade matter or not for on-campus placement?
For on-campus placements, like there is a criteria. CGPA like there is a CGPA criteria, definitely.
Like
So
sorry to interrupt. Like many people say CGPA is not CGPA not matter. Like if you
no,
have
no, no. That's
yeah,
that's a myth, right?
yeah,
That's a myth. You For on campus, it definitely matters. For off campus, maybe in some cases, maybe, but for on campus, it definitely matters, because obviously there are so many students, they can't let everyone sit for the exam. So they keep this criteria so that some students already like get out of the recruitment process, and only the good ones, according to them, based on the CGPR, sitting in the recruitment process. So on the safer side, if you have 7 plus, you are on a safe side, right? And if you're 8 plus, then you are the safest, right? If you have 8 plus, then you can sit for any company, because every company has 8 plus, right? Like 8 plus, as in 8 is the maximum they keep. They don't keep 9 or something, right? Otherwise, there are also companies coming on my campus with 5 plus CGPA. But then if you want to be able to sit for every other company that's coming on a campus, 8 plus is the safest, or 7 plus is still okay, right? So CGPA does matter, for on campus at least. Talking about 10th, 12th, these days for the product based placements, I don't know. Maybe there are some companies, I'm not sure, which are very high paying companies, right? There are some
can
companies,
you repeat your
rarely
line
some.
once again?
Yeah, so I said there are some companies, maybe not that high paying companies, who look into 10th, 12th grades, but those companies maybe are negligible in number. Most of the companies don't look at your 10th, 12th grades. Yeah. And but CGPA, yeah, yes, for on campus, it does matter.
Now for resume, is resume matter for
Resume.
on campus?
Resume, again, it depends on the company. So some companies do a resume shortlisting first, and then they call you for the rounds. Some companies doesn't really care about your resume. So it solely depends on the company. Yeah,
So
that's it.
like coming every student like prepares for DSA rounds thoroughly. So they are lagging like they do not prepare for projects. So how to prepare for projects and how we use resource like different type of resource to get through projects.
uh, Project is basically, I would say, first you need to explore the technology that you want to work upon, like whether it's these days ML AI is a lot in hype, so you can maybe go with that if you like the concept, and if you like the like ML AI. Otherwise, you may go with web development or Android development, anything. So first choose one technology, right, or one thing that you want to work upon. I personally liked web development, so I made most of my projects in that. And then you can definitely go and search for the resources of web development. There are a lot of YouTube channels on web development, right, or blogs on web development. So you can follow these channels, right, and then you can learn from their tutorials, make a base of your web development things. Maybe start with HTML, CSS, then gradually go to some other front end technologies like React.js and stuff, and then Node.js for the backend. So do it slowly but steadily, and then after some point, when you are comfortable enough to start with the project, then take ideas from a lot. There are a lot of YouTube tutorials on making good projects. Select any one project and then start building it on your own, and then start taking ideas and help from all these YouTube videos and maybe blogs or GitHub repositories. So you can do that way. Yeah, so this is the way. But it's not like there are many ways to because one question that I got on how to manage time between DSA and
Yeah.
project. So for that, there are many ways, right? It completely depends on the time when you started your preparation, right? And what is the time period between your preparation and the actual recruitment process that you're going to sit for. So I would say that you can go ahead with either giving time between. Hello.
Hello. Uh,
Yeah.
can you
Could
repeat
you hear
once?
me
Uh,
in between?
can you repeat once again that question? How you can manage time between DSA
Okay.
and projects?
Yeah, so to manage time between DS and project, what you can do is you can either give your day, or basically what I want to say, you can either assign some hours in a day to DSA and some hours to project, and you can do it steadily. So you will be learning both the things together, right? Or what you can do is which is not much recommended, I guess, but still, it completely depends on the person's convenience. That you can initially work good in your DSA and all, and once you are very much confident with your DSA, you can sort of stop doing it for a few days, and then start working on your projects and making all those concepts and stuff. uh, but still, don't miss on DSA completely. During that time, you should be giving contests at least. But yeah, then you can give the whole day to your projects, and later on, you can, once your projects are done, you can again pick up DSA. That is also a way of managing time.
So if I'm talking about CP, does CP matter? Like you have cracked both company, both product-based company, Goldman Sachs, and also DSO. So what's your take?
It I think it's not necessary, right? So there are some companies in which you will definitely need competitive programming, but most of the companies, like 90% or maybe 95% of the companies, product based companies, to get into these companies, you don't need competitive programming. If you do competitive programming, you definitely have an edge of solving the questions easily, during the interviews and stuff. But if you don't do CP, still, if you have a good practice of your basic DSA, and if you are very strong with your core data structure and algorithm concepts, then definitely you can crack it. So these product based companies don't ask you competitive level questions, right? So yeah, it's not necessary.
Yes. So now coming to next question, like lots of students don't want to do EP and graph. So
Right.
can you tell me how anybody like beginner can start graph and DP and master it? Like not master, but be at some good level.
First of all, if you're a beginner, don't right away start with graph and DB, obviously. Like, start with easier concepts. like normal array, binary search, two pointer, stack, linked list, queues, all that stuff. There are a lot of other concepts as well apart from DB and graph. So once you're strong with it and once you're comfortable with it, then slowly start diving into DB and graph. Okay, that's the first recommendation I will give. And talking about DP, so I always recommend this Aditya Verma's playlist for dynamic programming. Right, so he has a YouTube channel, and in that he has made a playlist on dynamic programming, and it's like really amazing. If you watch all the videos of that playlist, I think you will definitely be able to get a grasp of DP from then on, right? So that is one of the resources definitely to learn DP for beginners. Talking about graph is not a very difficult concept, to be honest, right? It just, there are a lot of algorithms you need to know in it. And once you are done with all the algorithms, do the like 5 questions at least on every algorithm, right? For say, if you pick up Dijkstra, or you pick up minimum spanning tree. So once you learn about those concepts, at least pick 5 questions to do, and then you will be comfortable with graphs, right? And you can go to lead code, go to graph, and try doing the questions. There are not many questions on graph on lead code. I think there are just 70 to 80 questions only. So you can do all those questions, and then you will be good at graph as well, right? So yeah.
So, how you handle rejection and prepare mentally in such situations? So, like, what type of advice you give to student? So, how to handle in such situation?
I think rejection is a part of the whole process, right? So basically, I just somewhere saw this post a few days ago. Just a second. No? एक second. हाँ. Uh, where was I? Just a second. Rejections. Okay, yeah.
Rejection.
So this, I was talking about this post that I saw it on LinkedIn or somewhere, that every rejection is like a mock paper or mock test, right? So you should always treat a rejection as a mock test. And why do you give mock tests? You give mock tests to be able to perform good in the final process in which you're going to get selected, right? So every rejection is just like a mock test, and in mock test, obviously, you do mistakes and then you learn from it. So you should be doing that, okay? And it's completely fine if you get rejected. You just have to be mentally strong on those things, right? Because there are many stories where you can see people getting rejected in many companies and ultimately grabbing a very big opportunity. So whatever happens, it happens for good. Always remember, because with me also, I had faced rejection. Like it happened so that I faced rejection in a company first, and then that company actually organized two recruitment processes. Right. So I got rejected in the first recruitment process. In the very end, like reaching till the end and then getting rejected is like very bad. It feels
Like
very bad.
disheartening.
And in the second, yeah, right. And in the second recruitment process, I got selected. Right. So basically, it does happen. I have like I got rejected in many online assessments and many interviews. It's not that I haven't got rejected, right? But then at one point, I was also scared of giving any more interviews or applying to any more position. But then after maybe a month or two, I realized I should start reapplying, so that if not selected, at least I learn something, right? At least I'll learn something, because this way I'm not learning anything. So, and this mindset really helped me a lot. This learning mindset ki it's okay to get rejected, but if I don't even put in effort, so I won't learn. And that like literally helped me a lot.
Okay. So now coming to an end, please give some ending tips to the students. Like, what are some small tips to a student who are preparing for placements?
For placements, I would say first of all, be regular. I mean, whenever you're starting, it doesn't matter you're starting from the first year or you're starting from the third year. It doesn't matter if even if you're late, it's completely fine. But due to whatsoever reason, never leave in between. Okay, always keep regularly coding, because I've seen people who started coding in their very first year, and they then just like left in between, and I started after them. Okay, I started after them, but I kept doing questions regularly. Yes, there was a time when I also left, but it wasn't a very long time, you know. Those people, they started in first year and then they didn't code for the complete second year. So I started after them and I grabbed good opportunities, good offers before them, much before them,
Due to
right? And I grabbed
consistency.
multiple, right, due to consistency, right? So that is very important. Secondly, keep giving contests. This is something that I have done. This is a mistake that I've done. So don't do this mistake. Keep giving contests regularly. You can, if whatever platform you're using, right? If that platform has got this contest thing, then keep giving regular contests. And in case it has this virtual contest scenario as well, then you should use that feature definitely and keep on giving every 1 day or every day or maybe every 2 days. Keep giving virtual contests to be, you know, regular with your preparations. Yeah.
So now, two interesting question I'm going to ask you. Like, if I tell you what you gonna tell to the first year of Eswarya, like something that you have done mistakes in the first year or second year. So what are you gonna tell to that Eswarya of first year? So you cannot
In
repeat that mistakes.
in first year I didn't code at all. Okay, I hated coding. I had really bad grades in the C programming language and also the other programming courses. So I had very bad grades and I didn't like coding at all, and I was much more involved in the non-technical activities and the extracurricular activities, right? So when I look back, I don't think I did anything wrong by not starting coding in the first year. It's completely fine if we
Yeah.
don't want to start in first year. I did the right thing with exploring. I was in a lot of clubs. I was actively involved in many clubs and I was learning a lot. Okay, so I don't think I did any mistake. The only thing I would say is to myself, I should have focused a bit more on my academics, so that maybe I could have gotten a better result. Right. Later on, I was able to at least, you know, pull up my grades, but it took a lot of efforts.
Yeah.
If I would have done it in the first year itself, then maybe, you know, in the next year, in the next semesters, you wouldn't need to work as hard,
Uh,
right? So yeah, academics, go explore everything. If you want to do coding, do, but don't forget to work upon your academics, right? So you should keep that thing in mind as well. It's not very difficult to score above 8
yeah.
CGPA, and if you do it in your first or second semester, then you are free. I mean, after that you don't have to work as hard, as I said. Yeah. So that is, yeah, that is the only thing I would say to myself.
You have to describe yourself in 3 words.
Okay. I think I'm hardworking, I'm determined, and I'm focused. And these are all the things that I like. These are the qualities that come into me only when I'm, you know, preparing for some good companies and all. And the other time, I'm not at all these things. I don't have these
Not
qualities the
necessarily
other
needed
times.
all other time. I think.
Yeah, right. And these are
Yeah.
the qualities only when I'm preparing. I like this. These are the qualities that I realized I have in me when I started preparing for the companies and finally grabbed the opportunity. I finally realized just because of these qualities, I was able to get this. So yeah, these are the qualities that every other student should have in order to grab an opportunity or to get to his or her goal.
So, so that's all. Thank you, Aswaya, for being here and
Thanks.
sharing insights with us.
Thanks a lot,
I
bro.
hope I hope lots of students will get benefited by this session.
Yeah, I'm glad if they really take my words. Yeah.
Thank you.